Well, a few words. I hope you all realize out there, now appearing in stores everywhere, is this cracker-like food that you can get in beautiful squares like this one for your Passover Seder, or an oddly rounded form of matzah shmura, that's baked by hand, and shmura is guarded in an even more stringently kosher way for your Seder table. I'm telling you this because in just 1 week and 1 day, we'll be eating this matzah as part of the Seder meal. And the tradition teaches us not to eat it at least 1 week prior so that we taste it anew, as if it has real taste. Besides the Seder and the retelling of Yetziat Mitzrayim, the going out from Egypt, consumption of this unleavened bread in place of all other leavened products is one of the central obligations of the 7 days of the holiday. Now, many of you may know that unlike my father-in-law of blessed memory, who up to the end of his life loved to snack on Manna Shevet matzah like this, the large sheet kind, or small crackers called tom-toms, I am, despite my rabbinic status, no fan of this springtime Jewish fare. And yet I eat it heartily during the 7 days of the holiday, after having cleansed our home of all leaven, really going to great effort as a means of welcoming in the springtime and preparing for the festival. I eat it because I understand the wisdom of the tradition and its embrace of symbolic eating as a way of re-experiencing Yetziat Mitzrayim, the going out from Egypt. Symbolic food consumption does evoke a multi-generational memory, while also encouraging, in the case of matzah, an empathy, a sense of empathy that Passover so deeply encourages. In the case of matzah, this ancient food represents two conflicting symbols. It's kind of a consumptive paradox. For matzah is both understood to be lechem oni, the bread of affliction, and lechem herut, the bread that enabled our freedom as it stayed in kneading bowls carried on the back of our ancestors with no time to rise while they rushed out of Egypt before the vacillating Pharaoh once again changed his mind. This lechem oni became the bread of sustenance. We have to remember, avadim hayinu va'ata b'nei horin. We say as we eat the matzah, we were slaves, but now we are free. Now, the parsha this week teaches us that in the ancient world, it's parsha Vayikra, one didn't just eat unleavened bread during Passover. It was actually also part of the sacrifice at the altar, or the Mishkan, and later the temple in Jerusalem. Leviticus chapter 2:4 states, when you present an offering of grain, it shall be of choice flour, matzah blulot, with oil mixed in unleavened bread. The remainder of the meal offering, some of it was burned up, is given to the sons of Aaron as a holy portion. So I want you to think about that. When we set our Seder tables a week or so from now, next Saturday night, each one in our own home, we are recreating the altar in the temple. We're stepping up to participate in our role as replacements for the priests. The matzah, as we eat it, is then seen not just as lechem oni, the bread of affliction, but also a sacrifice of thanksgiving, hopefully improved by other fine foods that you prepare to accompany with it. So there's the paradox. In the eating, we re-experience both the sense of being oppressed and of being liberated. We remember being slaves and our fulfillment as a kingdom priests. At the Seder, we acknowledge that our Jewish practice is exactly that, not something to watch on the sidelines or have the rabbis do for you or the cantors, but that we ourselves are obligated to engage in, each of us, and lead it. But we remember there can be no celebration without acknowledgement of our experience of oppression. I think it's so important that we understand this foundation of our Jewish identity. Your Judaism teaches each of you that it's our moral obligation to see ourselves always as those who are descended from the enslaved, those descended from those who took a risk to leave Egypt and then march into the wilderness of not knowing towards freedom. And then we celebrate the preciousness of that freedom. We never take our status as B'nai Horim, as free people, for granted. And I think this year, for we Americans, that aspect of Passover must resonate even more deeply, as we both witnessed our freedom in this nation being put at risk, and the still broad expressions of hatred and racial violence that's not only targeted at Jews, but at people of color of all faiths. How ashamed we must be that API Americans are living in fear in this country. And it's our duty to partner with them and with all like-minded people against the pharaohs that arise in every age. So the act of eating matzah, I hope you understand, is deeply significant. Passover is just week from tonight. Pick up some boxes of matzah, eat it in place of bread wherever you are for 7 days, at home, at Baker Beach, at an outdoor cafe. Put a little red sauce and cheese on it. You can make matzah pizza, and it will help you to remember, Abadim hayinu, we were slaves, v'ata b'nei Horim, but we are all meant to be free. Amen. Shabbat shalom.